We brought you some of Governor Kasich's State of the State speech live yesterday. Today we've got the local reaction to the governor's words.
Heavy rain is here again, and that means flooding. We'll tell you where the creeks are rising.
And students are making noise again about the noise ordinance after the police chief's strong statement against the change. All that and more coming up on Athens Midday.
Live from Ohio University, you're watching WOUB2, television for Athens County.
Rivers and creeks are rising again with more heavy rain hitting the area. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Rosante.
And I'm Emily Hanford. With all this rain, we're under a flood watch. Jacob Durr's in the Weather Center with more details. Jake?
That's right, Emily. The order of the day is rain, 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 and it looks like the ground can't take any more of it. The entire viewing area is under a flood watch until Thursday evening. We're looking to accumulate 2 inches or more in the next 36 hours or so. Possibly even closer to 3 in this area predicted by the National Weather Service. The problem with this is that with the wet terrain from our storms over the weekend, there's an elevated amount of water in the area, so it's looking like the groundwater is very quickly going to reach its saturation point, and that's where we're going to run into trouble. There's potential for all of the rivers to flood, especially tributaries of those creeks, streams, etc., and very quickly those could spill over onto the roads. We'll have more in a minute about road closures, but you can check things out the entire day at buckeyetraffic.org.
Well, thanks, Jake. And it is becoming dangerous to drive on some roadways this afternoon, and that has prompted a warning. The Athens County Emergency Management Agency, or EMA, is urging motorists to avoid driving through any standing water. With rain coming down the way it is, roads that seem passable may not be.
Generally, roads, particularly that low that sets near the river, generally the first ones that kind of tend to come over really quick.
Anytime you have a weather situation like this, go to your local media, whether it be radio, TV, NOAA weather, radio, but just be aware of your surroundings and realize when it's time to leave and when it's time to prepare your home or whatever you need to do. But prepare yourself prior to the water up at the front door.
And flooding already has closed some roads around Athens, including State Route 144 between US 50 and State Route 329, State Route 124 in Meigs County between US 33 and State Route 248. Also on State Route 124, the road is closed between State Route 248 and State Route 681. And State Route 356 in Vinton County is restricted between US 50 and the Athens County line. We'll have more on flooding later in weather.
Governor Kasich's State of the State address did little to ease the concerns of local government and state institutions fearing major budget cuts. Athens Midday reporter Kirsty Zontini spoke with the university and elected leaders in Athens about their take on the address, and she joins us now live.
Thanks, Emily. Change and reform, the keys to bringing the budget into line. For some, that's a euphemism for slashing the budget. But at Ohio University, it's a challenge that the administration is ready to face.
We're looking at possibilities of sharing services across universities so that we can do what the governor called for, and that's be more efficient.
Ohio University Chief of Staff Becky Watts was listening as Governor Kasich stressed the importance of education reform in his State of the State address.
The message for us is that you have to rethink the way that you do things.
But in the Athens City Council building, Athens City Councilwoman Christine Nisley says she isn't so sure.
We're all anxious about it and wanting to do the best that we can with limited resources.
Limited resources that may come from the restructuring of Ohio's budget.
You know, my concern is that he's talking about restructuring the budget and how that might have a negative impact on the jobs here.
But the call to restructure is one that we've also heard and that we've been working on for some time at Ohio University.
Some other areas of reform the governor focused on included reforming Medicaid, sentencing of convicts, and Ohio's problem with prescription drugs. The governor was also passionate about bipartisanship.
And we're going to do it. We're going to stop this trend with Republicans and Democrats if I have to pull the Democrats across the aisle myself personally. We are putting a budget together that can transform our state. If you've seen a lot of change in these first 7 weeks, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Though the governor was met by standing ovations in the courthouse, he also faced opposition when he talked about collective bargaining. There were more than 3,000 protesters at the State House yesterday. Reporting for Athens Midday, I'm Kirsty Zontini.
And for a complete recap or to watch the State of the State address, visit athensmidday.com. 2 elementary students in Toledo are taking the school budget cuts into their own hands. Sisters Lucy and Tallulah Arrigo heard from their mother that Hawkins Elementary School might be cutting some key programs to save money. This is when the sisters took action. They're starting a petition to save the art, music, and gym teachers because the board is trying to take those away. This is a kid-only petition that already has about 200 signatures from Hawkins Elementary students. And the budget battles continue in Washington as well. The Senate is expected to vote down both a GOP and a Democratic budget bill today. Democrats say the GOP plan cuts too deeply into the budget, while Republicans say the Democratic plan doesn't cut enough. Congress has until next Friday to come up with a compromise where the federal government shuts down.
Ohio University denies any wrongdoing in the death of Andrea Robinson, who died of bacterial meningitis last year. Robinson's father filed a lawsuit against the university last month in the Ohio Court of Claims. The lawsuit claims his daughter was not treated accurately. It also claims OU did a poor job preventing any students from bacterial meningitis in the first place. Some OU students say they'll not back off their attempts to change the way police enforce Athens' noise ordinance. Athens Midday reporter Justin Sampson is live in the newsroom. It looks like the debate continues.
It does. And you know, students say it's not fair the way police are enforcing the noise ordinance, and now non-students are weighing in on the issue. The Student Senate is sponsoring an amendment that would require police to receive a noise complaint before taking action. Athens Police Chief Tom Pyle calls the amendment a knee-jerk reaction and is urging the Student Senate to reconsider. Some residents of Athens believe they should understand a little extra noise is the price paid for living in a university town.
Like I said, they lived here and they know it's a college town and they know that they're going to be partying and raising noise, so they should just move.
Other residents we spoke with shared Browning's sentiment, saying the pros of students outweigh the cons.
Students make a lot of money for the county right here.
Athens police and students are used to debating over noise at this point, but it's the residents of Athens that are really affected by the ordinance. Noise citations last year tripled from 2009. Pyle says he supports the department's policy, saying they received public complaints in more than 90% of noise-related incidents last year. Student Senate member Chris Wimsett says local residents will side with the proposal if they realize what's at stake.
Enough people do their research, they're ultimately going to fall on our side. Even, you know, whether it be locals, whether it be students, whoever it might be.
Pyle also urges all citizens to vote against the changes should the initiative make it to the ballot. No timetable has been set for negotiations on the proposal, but Wimsett says he doesn't think a compromise will be reached. Athens police are on track to issue fewer citations than they did last year. Reporting live, Athens Midday, I'm Justin Sampson.
To find out what Student Senate has to say about Pyle's opposition, visit athensmidday.com.
Nearly 1 in 5 Ohioans didn't have enough food at least once last year. That word comes from the Food Research and Action Center. The report says nearly 20% of Ohioans were at risk of hunger last year. Hocking Athens Perry Community Action reports the region has long experienced poverty and hunger issues, but the problem is growing. We have a couple of recalls for you today. The first is ground beef from the Creekstone Farms Premium Beef. Products are being recalled in 10 states, including Ohio. There is concern beef products produced on February 22nd may be contaminated with E. coli. No incidences have been reported so far. Also, be cautious if you own a freestanding steel outdoor fireplace made by Sunjoy Industries Group of Steubenville. The fireplaces are sold nationwide at Lowe's stores. Officials say the bronze coating is a potential fire hazard. So far, 14 incidents have been reported. And how much heroin did an inmate smuggle into the local jail? You'll be surprised. Hear what the warden's saying.
And a hidden camera catches an NPR executive making some politically incorrect comments. We'll fill you in coming up on Athens Midday.
Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail Warden Jeremy Tolson says he's livid that an inmate was able to smuggle 158 balloons of heroin and 7 syringes into the jail. Warden Tolson says, quote, "It pisses me off. I'm not happy with what happened. I'm not one of those guys that you want to get on the bad side with. I'm not happy." Inmate Sean Vaness of Logan was allegedly able to get past security with the drugs and paraphernalia. He is currently being held in isolated lockdown inside the jail. And parents who lost teenage children to traffic accidents are pushing for tougher driver license standards. They met with members of Congress yesterday to promote the Stand Up Act, or the Safe Teen and Novice Driver Uniform Protection Act. It would introduce a 3-stage system for teens to earn their license, including requiring more practice time. The parents also called for the age of a full driver's license to be bumped up to 18 years old.
Another NPR executive has resigned from her position following controversial statements made by fundraising exec Ron Schiller. Vivian Schiller, who is unrelated to Ron Schiller, stepped down as CEO this morning. The controversy began Tuesday after hidden camera video of Ron Schiller was released. Schiller says he thought he was meeting with potential donors when he made the comments about the Tea Party. NPR claims the company is appalled by the comments. Ron Schiller resigned from his position last night. And there's another controversy is starting between a U.S. representative and the Muslim community. Representative Peter King is leading a committee that will examine possible threats made by Islamic radicals here in the U.S. 49 suspects were charged with acts of international terrorism last year. Most are Muslim men. King says the goal is not to target Muslims. They're just dealing with realities of terrorism.
No, I would never question anyone's religious beliefs. You'll not hear a word from me about the Quran or any of those issues. Muslims are proud people. They have a very proud religion. I am not questioning that at all. But what I am saying is that there are people in the community who are not fully cooperating. And
Some in the Muslim community say King is on a witch hunt. The committee will hear from witnesses this week.
The Space Shuttle Discovery landed in Florida just minutes ago. Discovery is the most traveled spaceship with 39 missions over 27 years. The 6 astronauts on the shuttle are back on Earth after a couple weeks on the shuttle. The crew was sent to deliver equipment to the International Space Station. The Discovery and its long history will be on display at the Smithsonian. It's Mac Madness at the Convo. Are the Bobcats taking a trip to Cleveland?
And a big earthquake rattles Japan. We'll tell you about it next on Athens Midday.